So last week I took you into my Jupyter notebook and we walked through the process of getting my Build in Public Coach bot just working at the most basic level. In today's video, let's get into a little more concrete, real life, put it out in public examples. We're going to take what I had in my Jupyter notebook and we're going to put it live on a website. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Listen to Leo. Right now, I want to be able to have my Build in Public Coach up on a website. And so I have a template that I've been using, kind of building on. It's a Blitz.js application. If you're not familiar, it actually started as a fork of Next.js, but since then has been kind of moving away from the idea of a fork and more being just a framework agnostic toolkit that you can use to take your JavaScript application and turn it into more of a full stack sort of thing. So what I've got is I have my Blitz application on the front end, and I've already got it set up to take care of things like user signups, login, that sort of piece. So it uses Prisma to map out your database schemas and everything like that. And so I've got it connected to a Postgres database. But what I want to do is I want to take this template and modify it specifically for this Build in Public Coach. And so let's think about what we actually need in order to implement this. So I've got this chat widget connected based on some other projects, but I don't think I'm going to actually use that. It's not quite in line with what I want this to look like. And so instead, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go over to the OpenAI Playground and generate a chat interface using GPT-4. And so I can put in kind of the information about the project as the system prompt. Hey, you're an expert in Tailwind CSS, TypeScript, Next.js, etc. And I will go ahead and tell it that I want it to build a chatbot interface here. And that should give us something that will look halfway decent. And so let's go ahead and drop that into the app and see what we've got. Okay, that actually looks pretty good. And then we can send that off to the back end and have it trigger a message. All right, now we don't have any of that stuff set up yet, so that's fine. Let's go over and start taking care of that. Okay, so I want to go ahead and just start a new Django app as part of this backend, and we'll call it Coach. And from there, we want to add a view route. So we need to get the URL hooked up and configure it to just be a subpath of the main URLs. So that's nice and easy. We can do that. And then within our view, what we're going to do is we're actually going to get in the message. Now, here's where things get a little interesting, because what I really want to do is, we can get the ability to converse with the bot setup pretty easily. And so we'll go ahead and connect things like, the conversation chain and the memory. And this is something that I'm a little curious on and need to dig in a little bit here. To take a step back, I want to be able to store conversation histories in a database. I want them to be long-lived because I'm planning on being able to reference those later, not just within the scope of the current conversation. I want to store those and be able to pull from those later in later conversations. So I want to store them somewhere. But I'm not sure if I want to store them in Postgres. I mean, I use that for most things. but there's also the option of doing it in like a Mongo. And maybe that makes more sense. I guess to start, let's go ahead and do it both ways and just see what happens. Okay, so after looking at it, I kind of like the idea of storing it in Mongo better. I was trying to figure out how Postgres did it because the fields didn't seem to line up the way that I thought they should, because it like doesn't have anything for the source or anything like that. And the reason for that is it essentially just like stringifies the entire like object that contains the source and the message as well. And so to put it in Postgres and then pull it out, there's a few extra steps there. I kind of just like the Mongo implementation a little bit more. I think it's a little cleaner. Does mean I need to add Mongo to the app, but that's something I've been considering anyway. So we've got the conversation history stored in Mongo. What I want to do next is I want to set up the ability to ask a certain number of questions ahead of time. So basically, if you watch the last video that I put out last week, I have a whole bunch of questions that I want to use to kind of set the scene for this Build in Public coach. And so when a user is having their first conversation, I don't want to pass that off to the AI just yet. I just want to ask some questions and get some responses. Probably tweak it later to be more robust and a little nicer. But for now, I'm just going to say, I'm going to look at that message history and say, hey, did one of these messages come in as kind of the most recent message history? So that way I know that I've got the response here. If it is, I could just match up the text directly and save this as the answer and pass by the next question. Or if it is the final answer, then we can just pass it off to the AI. So I'll go ahead and set up the structure here to be able to have kind of the list of initial questions and then the user's specific answers to those questions. So the nice thing here is I can always add in additional questions as well as needed. And I can change the order and things like that if I decide I need to. So this offers a little bit of flexibility here. And then I'll actually add in the variable that I'm going to replace, because that way I can kind of dynamically add these into prompts as needed to, make this hopefully a little more robust in the future. We'll see. But anyway, it's enough for now. I can go ahead and quickly take these answers, put them at these keys, throw them in an object, and pass them into the prompt template that I'm using. All right, awesome. So now we've got that set up and we are able to get this working end to end here. And so we've got the Blitz front end talking to the Django back end. That's all connected. It's secured via the like Django API keys that I've connected, so that's not a big deal. And yeah, so now it is all set up and we can have a conversation. And now we'll go ahead and get this deployed live. And so I'm going to deploy it to app.buildinpublic.coach, get that deployed out, and voila, we have a working app. Still need to do a bunch of tweaks on it, need to do some cleanup in terms of sign up and log in, make sure that if you show up, you can't just start chatting. I do want people to log in. There's a cost associated with obviously database records and API calls and all of that. And then need to do some tweaking in kind of the initial conversations, might do some styling changes here and there. But all in all, we're live. And that was our goal today. So here we are. Next video, I'll share some of the tweaks that I'm doing. And we're going to look at actually trying to get our first few users. So looking forward to it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.